Hi, it's Bea with Crafting Daily Dose, and today I have another alternative for the July 2023 paper pumpkin kit called Fun in the Sun. This card uses many of the pieces from this design here, and it is an easel card, which means that the top part opens up like this, and you can prop it up so that it stands on its own for display. Now usually easel cards are created by having something down here that gets raised up on adhesive foam like the dimensional foam stickers. But in this case, we have a little pop-up, a little box support pop-up that gives us a chance to add something to the scene. Now this design was inspired by my friend Lou Kitzelman in Australia, and I'll have a link to her blog post in the description box. This is another card that looks impressive, but you'll be surprised at how easy it is to do. Here are the pieces that we're going to be using. The card base is Daffodil Delight, and this time it's in portrait orientation. So it is 4 1/4 inches across by 11 inches in height, and it has score lines at 2 3/4 and at 5 1/2. And then we've got some pieces of basic white cardstock. There are 2 of these that are the same size. They are 3 3/4 inches across by 2 3/4 inches in height. These are panels for the front, and this one is the inside message panel. It is 3 3/4 inches across by 3 inches in height. And now for the pieces from the kit. I've got the longer banner here, but feel free to use the shorter one if it fits your sentiment better. Then I've got the card panels from the kit, and then this little starfish here. And then finally, I've cut out a piece of the envelope. You may remember that I used the flap of the envelope in a previous project, and so this is part of what I had left over. You can use cardstock here, but this is going to be a little pop-up mechanism, and so the thinner weight here makes it a little bit less bulky for the inside. This piece is 3 1/2 inches across by 4 inches in height, and there are several score lines. We've got one at 1 inch, 1 3/4, 2 3/4, and finally 3 1/2 inches. I'm going to be stamping my sentiment in Azure Afternoon ink, which is one of the coordinating colors. And now we've got our pieces ready to go. I usually like to start with the stamping, and I've got my silicone craft sheet underneath for a little bit of extra cushion. I'm choosing the Sending an Ocean of Love sentiment. Next up, I'm going to be stamping one of the panels for the front. Remember, there are 2 of these, and it doesn't really matter which one that you're using here. In order to figure out where I can stamp my sentiment, I need to line it up with this piece, which is going to go on top of it. And what I'm looking for here is this horizon line. I'm going to line that up with the bottom edge of my basic white sheet. So it's going to look like this. And this area up here is where I can stamp. This time I'm going to use Hello Sunshine. I'm using the darker ink color here because I think it's easier to read the sentiment. But of course you can use the pretty Daffodil Delight ink from the kit. To begin assembling the card, we're going to put together the simple pop-up mechanism. This is going to be a little box support, and I'm going to basically fold along each of these score lines in the same direction so that the blue side of my envelope is the one that shows. And I'll be reinforcing all of these folds with my bone folder. Now this shortest section down here on the bottom, and to make things a little neater, I'm going to cut off very tiny triangles, little wedges from the sides. Once I have the adhesive on, I'm going to fold the next one over and then fold this section back, just so that it can come together and I know that everything will lie down flat. And now here's our little box support. We've got the wider part, and then the smaller part is going to be the height. So it's going to lie like this. Now I'm going to take my card base I've already gone and folded along the score lines, and eventually this is going to be our easel card that goes like this. And this is the pop-up that's going to support the easel like this. Now I want to place this so that it's about an inch from the bottom edge of the card. Let me go ahead and open this up. So I'm opening up this. The front part is the part that has the score line. This part without the score line is the back of my card. And I'm lining it up on my grid here because I'm going to want to place this so that it is about an inch from the bottom edge, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4 of these little blocks on my grid paper. Let me do it on this side actually because you may not be able to see off camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be right where I put it. And I'm going to want to center that horizontally. I'm putting glue on one of the broad surfaces. If you prefer, you can use a ruler, but it doesn't have to be that exact. Once I have that in place, I'm going to press it down flat and give it a chance to set up. Now I'm using this as a guideline, trying to keep the distance between the bottom edge and here even. And I'm also using the sides as a guideline because these spaces should be pretty even as well. Now I can take this panel and it's going to be adhered along here. I'm going to line this up and then press it down flat. And then you can see that it can be propped up and it will hold the front of the card in place. Since we're already working on the inside, let's go ahead and finish that up. I'm adding the message panel, which remember is the largest of those 3 basic white pieces. I'll use Stampin' Seal for this one, but you can also use any of the other adhesives. I'm going to temporarily press this down in the opposite direction, and I'm centering this message panel in this space up here. Now for the sentiment and that little starfish. Now that the inside's done, it's time to work on the outside. We're going to place the remaining 2 panels on either side of the score line. So this one is for the top, and this one is for the bottom. And I'm trying to center them horizontally, and I want to be very careful to make sure that I don't cross the score line. I'm using glue this time just in case I need to wiggle things around a little bit to get them placed just right. I'm bending this panel, just checking to make sure that I haven't crossed that score line. So I'm using my fingers to make sure that that's nice and flush. Now I may have a little bit of overhang on the other side. That doesn't matter because that's easy to trim off. I can clean that up later. I just don't want to cross that score line. And that's what it looks like. Again, I can trim off any excess there, either with my trimmer or just going in with my snips. But now this part is ready. Now I just have to add this last panel, and this is going to be attached just to the bottom part here. And remember, we want to line up the horizon line in this image with the score line. So I'm going to only place glue on this part, and I'm using my fingers here as a guide, holding them behind the top part where the sky is. I'm going to turn it over, and that is my little reminder to only put glue on the other section. And if you still have the bling from the kids, you can feel free to add it here too. There's our finished card. We have a bright, cheerful scene on the front, and then on the inside there is room for a message, and this section that can be propped up to support the easel. And here's what it looks like when you're looking at it head on. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this dose of creativity. If you get a chance to try out the project, I would love to see it, so share it in my Facebook group or tag me if you're sharing elsewhere. If you're interested in Paper Pumpkin but don't yet have a demonstrator, you can find my subscription link as well as all of my other links in the description box below. I hope to craft with you again next time, and until then, have a great day.